End of day recap for October 11th. Let's start off with GU. There was actually only a couple setups today. I did not take either of which for reasons I'll outline in the video. So starting off with GU, daily swing is bullish. Our daily internal leg is also bullish. 4-hour leg is bearish, right? So we are reacting to a 4-hour demand zone. Let's go down to the 15-minute. Price is currently within this range from news on Thursday, which this was core inflation data. So as far as trades for GU yesterday, there's really only a couple areas where we could have looked. One was here, and that appears to be it. So let's go down on the lower time frame. Just so you're aware, trades here wouldn't be valid because right now, with the way that this candle is, it's actually bearish. Order flow is technically bearish right here. So since it is bearish, we would be looking to take buys into this 15-minute supply, which would be considered counter order flow, but we'll take a look at it anyways. So price came in. Let's erase this. Price came in. There is no refinement or anything like that we came into. Price did sweep liquidity right here. We did get some EID created. That's engineered inducement. We got a lower time frame order flow shift, in which case you could have, look to enter at the extreme. Price never came back and swept liquidity, so no trade there. And that seems to be, yep, that is the only POI where you could have looked at to enter on GU. Moving over to UCAD. Now UCAD was one of those ones where there wasn't too much going on after during spread hours, which is normal. But then, when Asia and New York session opened up, price did start putting in higher highs. Places that we could have looked at was here, and news came out and swept you right there, and that would have really been it. So realistically, we only had about one POI where we could have looked at to enter. Let's go over the higher time frame. Daily swing is bullish. Daily internal is bearish. We are reacting to a daily demand level where we did sweep some liquidity right here in this area. Internal structure break right here, and as you can see, price has just been making a run at it. It has not stopped for nothing. Let's go down over to the 1 minute. So price came into our 15-minute demand. We are taking buys even though we're reacting to this 4-hour supply, just because we're also inside this leg right over here. And even if you look on the higher time frame over on this level right here, you can see that really we have a lot of liquidity to target after, mainly because of this right here. Let's draw a horizontal line just to be able to see it on our end, or right here. So realistically, I probably would be looking for buys all the way until we cross that line right here. Now let's stay on that page. So we still got a little bit, a good ways to go from here to here, which price almost made it to it, but the news came out, we swept all this liquidity right here. I'm thinking we're probably going to continue going higher as soon as Monday begins. So let's go back to the 1 minute over here and our 15-minute demand. So as you can see, price came in, no refinement, right? The only refinement I would have looked at here was probably the last point of inducement, which price did not come into. Actually, I stand corrected. We did come into a refinement right here. This one I didn't take. I didn't notice it in the time. And also, at this point in time, I woke up late, so I did not manage to enter. But this would have been a valid fake order flow shift, right? Buyers got induced to start looking for buys right here. And as you can see, wrong one. Buyer stepped in, got swept with strong momentum back into this refinement. A lot of people would have entered here depending on the feed you use. You could have. I did not, nor would I have entered there. RR would have been much better, of course, 7.3 R, whereas I would have looked to enter here based off of my feed. Even on my MT5, I printed a lot more similar to this. So entry would have been at this engulfing momentum candle, and you would have been off. Right over here was news. After that, there was nothing else on UCAD. So win for UCAD. EU was one of those ones where we're also reacting to a daily demand. So you're not really trying to take sells at this point in time. Our daily swing is bearish. Price came in, swept all this liquidity right here, literally to the T. 4 hours bearish. But we're not looking for sells. So order flow. Order flow is bearish. This is the extreme of the 15-minute because it really comes down like this right here. This is your order flow, shifts to the upside, breaks to the upside, to the downside, retrace back up a little bit, but then continue going down again. So the only places you could have looked at for buys that I possibly could have, understood was here. This right here, you're just asking for trouble. So this would not have been valid. This would have been considered counter order flow, which I don't trade. So the only other POI where you could have looked at for buys was not here. This is not constitute a POI because it did not break anything. I could understand the sell narrative because then you'd be going with the current order flow. But this was news right here, so you wouldn't have gotten an entry. Let's just take a quick look at this POI right here. This is 3:15. I'm not looking at the charts at this time. My session starts at 4 a.m. Last point of inducement. Price came in, reacted, swept. The low of this ends in 319. The low of over here ends in 322, so it swept by more than 0.1, so I'm not interested in that anymore. 0.1, I'll let it slide. I'll say it didn't break. 0.3, cutting the line. But after that, there was nothing else for EU. Now for the Aussie. Aussie had one trade. I didn't notice this ahead of time. I actually wasn't a big fan of it. It's just not my cup of tea. Daily swing is bullish. Daily internal leg is also bullish. 4-hour swing is bearish. So 4-hour swing is this entire leg right here. Just because it came up, mitigated this right here to the 50%. And then as far as this leg goes down, it never retraced back up like at all. So let's go down to the 15-minute. So as you can see, price is establishing clear order flow to the upside. We had an order flow shift to the downside. Price came in, swept a lot of liquidity right over here. Even had a reaction. Oh, I didn't even sweep that. Look at that. But did sweep enough liquidity. Retraced back up, came back down, swept, did end up sweeping that order flow shift to the downside. Or actually, no, this was a sub break to the downside. Then we had an order flow shift to the upside. The reason I did not enter was because, with my experience, generally when you have a large wicks like this, especially if it's news wicks, I try not to look at that price action just because this could be a, grab on liquidity. In this case, I should have overlooked it because we also took a lot of liquidity from the downside right over here, right? So that being said, it came up, took this liquidity from the upside, and the fact that news came out at, 8:30, by the time your trade setup was going on, it was 9:09 or so. That would have been your entry. So that would have been like 40 minutes afterwards. So by that point, news is gone. It shouldn't have been a factor. But even so, I didn't like the wick. So I chose to just not even be on the charts at this time, and that's why I missed this trade. So the way this trade plays out, very simple. Price came in, swept all the way to our last point of inducement, didn't tap into our refinement. We had a order flow shift to the upside, came down, not much momentum, but as you can tell, this candle right here, even with the wicket showing that it did possess more momentum coming in, even if it's 2 candles, I would take that. So would our head coach over at Omega Trading, Matt. He would have entered here. This was the best entry you could have gotten. It would have been a pretty good sized trade. You're talking about 8.8R. So that would have been the trade of the day, realistically, as well as that UCAD trade. For a total, if you had the 8 plus the close to 5R, you're looking at 13R. So would have been a good day had you decided to take the trades. It's all right though. In time we learn. If you guys have any questions, if you're watching, want to know where I'm learning how to trade, just look at the description below. Join the Omega community. It's on Discord. Matt's a great coach. But with that being said, take care and peace.